Welcome to the Zandbergen Report, where wealth strategies and pop culture collide, featuring your distinguished host and certified financial planner, Bart Zandbergen.
And hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Bart Zandbergen here. Very happy to have a longtime acquaintance and someone who I respect very, very much, Todd Vande Hei from Stark. Todd, welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
Oh, thank you. We've met several times. We have mutual friends and business people, acquaintances. Always been impressed with, what I've seen of you, and now recently on your social media, you bear all.
I do. Yeah, I don't leave anything to the imagination.
No, that's, we might talk about that at some point.
Okay.
But that's okay. No, it doesn't offend me. Our firm here, we implement what we call true wealth. And part of true wealth is, hey, what makes up wealth other than just money? First and foremost is health. We say health is the ultimate wealth. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great tie-in for you and your lifestyle and what you do with your company. But let's start with that. Like, where did you come from? How did you come to Stark? And why is fitness such a priority for you?
Well, I would say fitness specifically isn't a huge priority, but health in total is. And for the and we'll get into what that means, because I don't think many people really understand the difference.
Yeah.
But the reason I landed here was not some grand, well thought out plan. It was a series of disasters.
I don't know how this results happen.
Yeah, I guess that's not that uncommon. To be honest, for many years I was embarrassed by this, but now I speak much more openly about it. But I spent most of my career in carpet manufacturing, and I actually live in California because I relocated here from Chicago to run a small publicly traded carpet manufacturing company called Fabrica. And back then it was based in Santa Ana, right off the 55 in Dyer. I mean, I know it sounds weird, but I loved carpet. It was something I was fantastic.
It does sound weird.
I know it sounds weird, but and we were in I would say the tip of the spear in terms of the industry. So it was a very, very niche-y, really high-end, high-quality products. Most of our customers were interior designers, or they were resellers to the interior design community. And so we weren't in just an ordinary carpet space. We viewed ourselves as a fashion company, as textile designers. It was maybe a little bit overblown, but it was way out in the stratosphere.
Yeah.
And I was exposed to a lot of really interesting creative ways of thinking, and the concept that there are riches and niches, and to go really deep and not wide when it comes to developing a product or a service. And so that was always kind of in the back of my mind. Or in my early years, that was sort of developed into me. Yeah. And it really resonated with me. I loved being in a space, whether it was carpet or any other business, that was the very best in their particular space and provided a unique value proposition to the consumer. And so what happened was that I had a conflict with the board of directors. I was fired. I retired. I was in my mid-30s, 36 at the time. Had a third child on the way, and just decided I wasn't going to go back to work because I didn't really need to. And I had spent a lot of my earlier years being away from my family, and didn't want to do that any longer. So the third one was coming or on her way, and it was a wonderful thing. She fell asleep every night in my arms for probably her first year. Her name's Lizzie. Yeah. And it was a great experience as a father to be able to do that. It was more like a grandfather experience, to be honest. It seemed like, because I had so much time. I had so much time.
36?
I was 36. Yeah. Oh. And I had a real estate portfolio that I started developing in Chicago. Yeah. Exchanged it into Orange County properties. Yeah. Had a lot of Orange County properties. And then by the time 2010 hit, or rolled around after 2008, after the crisis, it was over for me. I'd lost everything except for about $60,000.
Wow.
And because I wouldn't say severely depressed, but I was pretty close to that. I was on Prozac. Yeah. And I was also in the throes of a midlife crisis. I had long hair like yours. You never got out of your midlife crisis, clearly, because you still had midlife crisis hair. It looks fabulous, by the way. But I was like, just slid into that, and I thought that I needed to try to capture my youth in some way, and that was one way I did it. Yeah. And I just wasn't I wasn't stable and felt like my identity was being ripped from me. To be really honest, I would get down on my knees on a daily basis and pray to God to take my life. It was, I couldn't take care of my loved ones.
Yeah.
So it was a terrible, terrible time for me. Yeah. And I was standing in my jacuzzi. We lived in Talega in San Clemente at the time. And I was standing in my jacuzzi looking out over the ocean, and the warm sea breezes were flowing through my hair. And my BlackBerry vibrated on the side of the jacuzzi. And I was standing up, so the water was like up to my knees. And I just reached over and I grabbed it. And it was a strength coach by the name of Brad Davidson. And he was referred to me by a friend. He was about to close his business and said, "Hey, I heard you're looking to do something."
I remember that name, Brad Davidson.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. Yeah. And he was in fact about to lose his business. And so we scheduled an appointment for the next day. I went and met with him. And there just really wasn't a business, actually. It was just a small gym with some old equipment. And he had a handful of clients, and he had some buddies that were personal trainers too, and he was renting space to them. It was not an equitable situation, and the lease was really horrific, actually, as well. There was no way to actually grow his business and become healthy. But I thought it was a great idea. And so I shook his hand, and we hugged it out, and we formed a partnership very, very quickly. I decided, I told she's now my ex-wife for good reason. I told her that I was not going to continue looking for a job, and that I was going to make this into something special.
Were you into health at that time?
I would say I was always into health. Like, I always had a gym membership. Yeah. I went on a regular basis, but
not as enthusiastic as you are now.
I thought I was educated. I was like bro educated, through Muscle and Fitness magazine and such things. Yeah. I had no real understanding of what strength training was actually about. And I think that's common still today. Yeah. Most attribute strength training to bodybuilding, or they approach it as a bodybuilder approaches it, because most of the literature, consumer-oriented literature, is focused on changing the shape of your body with lifting weights. And frankly, that's very damaging. It can be very damaging. And I had the remnants of that, like neck problems and shoulder problems and low back issues, all in retrospect. Yeah. I created myself by just showing up at the gym and following some random program that actually worked, but in the wrong way. I had created orthopedic issues. Yeah. Anyway, I formed this partnership with Brad, and he was on a salary of, I think, $2,000 a month. Yeah. Wow. And I was on a salary of $0. And we somehow scraped up enough. Actually, Chris Gianella with what was the magazine at that point in time?
Before Riviera?
It was Riviera. Okay. Is Riviera still?
Riviera's magazine.
Sorry, Riviera people. Yeah. But anyway, he was with Riviera at the time. Yeah. And he was introduced to me by another friend, and offered to write an article if we got him ready for his 40th birthday party.
The other guy, not Chris.
Chris. Yeah. When Chris turned 40, prior to turning 40, he was in the Stark ecosystem for the early parts of it.
Got it.
And we got him ready for his birthday, and he lifted his shirt up, and everybody was like, you look amazing. And he was all excited about it. And that was sort of like the beginning stages of us developing Stark. I didn't really understand how the body worked at that point. Yeah. Actually, to be clear, nobody does. Yeah. I mean, right now, for you and I to have this conversation, there's like a trillion transactions on a cellular level happening inside of our bodies. Yeah. And we don't understand all of it, for sure.
That's fair. Yeah.
And we're learning more about it I mean, every year that goes by, the half-life of medical research indicates that half of what we thought to be true 12 months earlier is not. Yeah. And so the evolution of our understanding of the human body is moving so quickly that nobody can really even keep track of it. So what truth is about our bodies is really kind of a big question mark. And that one detail was fascinating to me. I didn't understand it at first, but now I do have an intimate understanding of the fact that we don't.
Can I answer this? And is it the same for every body?
Is what the same?
The inner mechanics, the way everything works, it's
a great question. Yeah, it's a great question. So technically, 99.5% of us are identical, genetically speaking. 0.5% is different. And that would be eye color, height, maybe some predisposition to cardiovascular health or gender differences or whatever.
I don't want to make this funny, but it's true. Some guys have amazing calves. You don't work them out very hard. Isn't that a genetic?
Not necessarily. So the complexity around this is you're familiar with the epigenome?
Yes.
Okay, so the epigenome, epi is Greek. I think it's Greek for above.
Thank you.
And it's called epi because it influences or turns on your genes or turns them off.
Okay.
And the interesting thing about calves is that, and I've been up to my eyeballs in the human body. That sounds a little bit weird. Over the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And so you start to spot similarities between one person and another. And many people have giant calves.
Yeah.
They have a combination of a couple of different things. They're grossly overweight. So they're walking around with like a weighted vest.
So it's okay.
They're training their calves. And they have a little bit of anterior tilt in their pelvis. So their glutes are underdeveloped because of the way where their pelvis sits, and it puts more pressure on their calves. And they actually, it's like they are weight training their calves all day long. Every time they walk, they are developing the musculature of their calves. Does that make sense? And so they just have big calves.
It actually does.
So is that genetic? The shape of their pelvis may be slightly influenced by genetics.
Yeah.
Their weight is not. I think that's all epigenetic. Those are decisions or cultural influences at play.
Yeah.
Or just how they decided to live their lives. And some of that is familial, meaning you grow up living a certain way with your family and your siblings.
Yeah.
And you just continue on and you all look the same.
Yeah.
You know, your body is shaped the same. And a lot of people think that that's genetic, but it's just optional.
Yeah.
It's just because of how you live.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I just picked on calves just because, funny story. So I've been weight training for a little over 40 years now. And about, 7 or 8 years ago in the gym, doing seated calves. This guy that's like probably 15 years older than me, working out for an extra 20 more years than me. He's like, working the calves on. I go, yeah. He goes, how long have you been working your calves? Well, I mean, today? He goes, no, like in your career, like, 30 years. He goes, you think you're going to grow some now? That's funny. So, yeah, never forget that. Still work them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a slow twitch muscle group. And so it takes a lot of volume. And volume is like number of repetitions.
Yeah, versus heavyweight.
Yeah, and so if you imagine that overweight guy with the big giant calves, he has massive amounts of volume like all day long. Every time he walks to the fridge or to work or wherever he's going, he's training his calves. Yeah. And so if you were carrying around like another 60 or 70 or 100 pounds, I promise you, your calves would be bigger.
I must be obsessed with calves because it wasn't that long ago. My wife and I were walking somewhere, and she was such a beautiful woman. I'm like, honey, look at her calves. And she's like, you're going to comment on her calves? That's what you're commenting on?
That's a little bit jealous.
In fact, yeah, totally. Yeah. So that's what basically started the concept of Stark.
Yeah. And so back then it was essentially a strength training gym. There were a lot of young athletes in the system. There were a handful of pro athletes. Nothing really of note.
Yeah.
But what I was fascinated by was a guy named Charles Poliquin. Have you heard of Charles Poliquin?
Oh, yeah. The pain guy, right?
Yeah. He did a lot of stuff with pain. He's a noteworthy Olympic strength trainer from Canada. And he built a business in Rhode Island. And had this whole system in place to analyze your body composition with calipers, which frankly, I mean, I hate to be critical of someone that's no longer with us, but it was total BS. But anyway, it was a system to analyze what was going on inside of your body from a hormonal standpoint. Yeah. Like if you had really a small caliper measurement on your triceps, that means you have high testosterone. There's no correlation whatsoever. Okay. I understand this now that we have a medical team, but at that point in time, that was kind of a thought. And so if you had fat triceps, we would sell supplements to boost your testosterone levels. It really wasn't the greatest system at all, but it was a system, and I was enamored by it. But there were things that Charles Poliquin taught regarding nutrition that, for me, was incredibly transformative. Things that back then, 15 years ago, were really not discussed, like gluten, taking gluten out of my diet. Yeah, I spent my entire life up until 44-ish, which is when we started Stark, or 42, with chronic headaches and periodic migraines and just being exhausted all the time. And I went to countless doctors and they just said, take an aspirin or take an ibuprofen or take Tylenol. And I took ibuprofen so frequently. Yeah, I could. It was terrible. Yeah, but I didn't know it at the time. No. I actually developed an allergy to it. And my left eyeball would like swell up. Yeah. And so then I had to move to Tylenol and I would take that on a daily basis to prevent getting headaches all the time. Wow. And it was just, nothing was a concern, at least within my community of doctors. Yeah. They said if it helps with pain, just keep doing it. It's no big deal. It's very safe. Blah blah blah. And then Brad said, take gluten, dairy, and eggs out of your diet for 30 days. It was elimination.
Yeah, elimination.
Which a lot of people are aware of today, but back then it wasn't very common. I didn't know what gluten was. I didn't even ask him what it was or why. He just told me what foods to avoid. I did. And about 2 weeks later, I realized I hadn't had a headache in like 2 weeks. I was like, what, Brad, what is going on? He's like, oh, your inflammation dropped. I'm like, what is inflammation?
Wow.
What does that mean? Like something swollen?
Yeah.
I'm not swollen.
Yeah.
And then he kind of explained what systemic inflammation was. It kind of went over my head and I didn't really care. I'm like, I'm not going back to those foods. And he goes, well, eat some gluten for a couple of days and see how it impacts you. Typical elimination diet process. And then dairy and then eggs. And gluten was the giant culprit. It created that state of sickness for my whole life, which was mind-blowing to me.
So let me ask you this. So gluten is a buzzword, I think, today. And two things. Do you think that applies to everybody? And then second, is it gluten in the United States or is it gluten worldwide?
I don't think we really know, but I have opinions on that. I think it's gluten in the United States. And I don't necessarily believe that it's just the gluten is the protein inside of wheat.
Yeah.
It's what makes bread awesome.
Yeah.
And so if you don't eat that protein, you won't get the results of, or the inflammation response that I got in the United States. And it affects, if we run food sensitivities on you, there's a 70% likelihood that you'll have a gluten intolerance. Mm-hmm. So it's a very, very high percentage. But I don't believe it's just the gluten. I think it's the contaminants that are associated with the wheat.
And we only have so much time, but I agree with you on that. I mean, and perfect example, and I don't know, have you been to Europe?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. And can you eat gluten and
it doesn't affect me the same way.
That's my point.
Yeah, I feel a little bit puffy,
Yeah.
but I don't have headaches.
Yeah.
It's not, the severity is not there at all.
Yeah.
It's a very different food, actually.
Yeah.
It's very modified in the United States. And so I just avoid.
Which is another, and I hope that with what's happening in our government, that changes the food quality.
It might. It's pretty weird to listen to someone inside the federal government speak like I do. It's very strange because for 14 years, I was the weirdo.
Yeah.
Banging the drum, like, don't do these things. This is as you think. Question your doctor.
Yeah. I'm almost as weird as you, so I agree. I think everything that I've seen of you and everything you said so far, we're aligned. Have you have Callie Means?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's amazing.
There's another one, like someone that
Wait, I always get the names confused.
I think it's the girl.
Callie's the MD.
The MD, and then the brother is another
Casey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. I think I got that right. I could be wrong.
Yeah. It's good enough.
I apologize if I got that wrong too. Yeah. To Means. I wanted to do this, but I have these. Let's play this game. I'm just going to throw out a term, and you can tell, just talk about it. Pros, cons, hate it. I'm like, okay. Fasting.
No.
Okay, good.
You want me to expand on that, or
let's talk. Let's because I also have an opinion, but go ahead.
Okay, so there's lots of benefits to fasting. That are real. That are real, but you can get them in other ways.
Yeah.
And one of our problems within our ecosystem and the people that we serve is that we can't or have a difficult time getting them to eat enough protein. And so you don't want to have someone fast when they're not eating enough protein, especially women.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they're so under eating protein and they're suffering from an orthopedic health, like their joints hurt.
Yeah.
They're racked with pain. They're emotionally uncomfortable because their bodies are changing shape.
Yeah.
And we're also strength training them, not just coaching them in nutrition. And you need those two pieces to be together in order to elicit the change that they really want, which is to get back that feminine, youthful body that they once had, which is totally possible. Yeah. But you have to you have to recreate it with muscle. Yeah. Because they're going to lose fat in areas that they don't want to actually lose fat in. Yeah. But for the most part, except for breasts, you can recreate it with muscle. Yeah. And it fights gravity. Yeah. It's a good thing.
All these things are going to be like fad type things, but it's so interesting to me. By definition, intermittent fasting means, right? If you look it up, not all the time, not daily, intermittent, do it on occasion. And to me, not as educated as you are, but to me, doing it on occasion, right? I think makes some sense. I think there's some science behind it. Mm-hmm. There is inflammation and probably even reducing fat. I'll do it once a quarter, 24 hours, but I'll drink bone broth the whole time. So
That sounds great.
but I'm told it's still fasting. I feel like I can survive it, and I'm still getting a little protein.
Yeah.
Okay. TRT, testosterone replacement therapy.
Okay, good. TRT, I would describe it as a transformational therapy that is primarily a brain hormone. And I don't know that many people understand it that way,
Right.
but your sex hormone receptors are clustered in your brain, your gonads.
Yeah.
Most of them are in your brain.
Yeah.
And so as someone that put it off because I was afraid of, I didn't like the idea of it, so I started when I was 50.
Yeah.
So it's now 6 or 7 years into Stark, and I was kind of like, I don't like the idea of being dependent on a medication, right?
Yeah.
And so my team cornered me and asked me this question: on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel? I'm like, I don't know, between like a 7 and an 8. Like, I think I'm really doing well.
Yeah.
And this is after some transformation in the early years and cleaning up my diet and having really like world-class training programs designed for me, for my body to improve my orthopedic health. Like, I was on a great path.
Yeah.
And then the team responded by asking this question: well, what if the scale is 1 to 15? And I'm like, you think I'm like a 7 or 8 out of 15? And like, yeah, you just don't know it. I'm like, well, why would I not know it?
Yeah.
And the explanation was this: I was using my brain to determine how my brain is functioning.
Yeah.
And that's an impossibility. Yeah. And then further, andropause, which is a very civilized version of aging that men go through, unlike what women go through, which is not civilized.
Yeah.
Men go through this very slow, steady decline. It's sad. It's not fair. Honestly, it's so slow we don't perceive it.
Yeah.
And so what happens is in that case, over, let's call it a 20-year period. So 30, which is typically the peak for a male, hormonally speaking, and you'd have this gradual decline. So I'm 50 now.
Yeah.
Was imperceptible, but I did realize, I think I'm saying the same things over and over again, and I have to put my keys in the same place over and over so I remember where they are. Yeah. That's sort of like it. Everything else was fine. Yeah. Like, everything worked okay, but are we okay to be graphic here?
Yes, please.
My directions weren't the same. They were there. Yeah. But I was like, you're recognizable, bro, but you're not the same, And so there was, this slow, steady decline, but again, it was a civilized decline. And the explanation was that it happened so slowly that you can't recognize it.
Yeah.
So I said, well, is it a lifetime commitment? And the doctors said, no, it's optional. Okay. Like, you can opt out, you can start, you can stop, you can do it for a trial and see how it affects you. Yeah. And so I said, okay. I was Stark's first TRT patient.
Was that right?
I'm Stark's first everything. Yeah. Like, I'm the crash dummy. Okay. Things don't work out all the time, but sometimes they work out really well.
Chicken cooking.
Yeah. Yeah. So I jumped into that, and we could spend the rest of the time just talking about this. Yeah. And I think it'd be valuable for your listeners. Yeah. And this, by the way, is not just for men. Yeah. This particular therapy is, but a version of it exists for women too.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
And we are giant proponents of that as well. Okay. And there's a lot of old school, I would describe it today as old school thinking. It goes back to, for women, it goes back to 2002, I believe, the Women's Health Initiative that essentially shut down the medical system around hormone replacement therapy. And then all through the years, TRT was viewed as something that bodybuilders did. Yeah. Which is completely inaccurate.
It's a totally different process.
It's a different process. It's not nearly as androgenic as what bodybuilders use. It's not as powerful. Yeah. That's what I mean by that. It merely brings you back to where you were when you're like 25. And just look around at 25-year-olds. Like, how are they doing? There's some that are really fit. Yeah. Most of them are disasters. Yes. And in our generation, 25-year-olds were not as bad as they are today, but they still weren't great. Agreed. It wasn't like they were walking around looking like Adonises. Yeah. That is the potential with TRT, but it is not the likely outcome.
Do you, so when you have someone on TRT, are you age banding what their optimum
this is such a great question. I love this question. Hell no. No, I mean, there's no reason to do TRT and bring someone up I'm 57, bring someone up to an average 57-year-old.
Yeah.
Like what's the
No, so let me re-ask. So that's probably how I asked. Let me re-ask.
Okay.
Do you have a guideline for like an age group, or is it the same level? Like what's your level? And someone in their 50s or 60s, would recommend the same level for someone that maybe is in their 40s?
Yeah. So TRT for men is it's a measurable, or there's a known quantity.
Yeah.
And the target is free testosterone between 20 and 30. And that's if you're 70, 80, 20.
Yeah.
Though we don't put 20-year-olds on TRT because they actually have the physiology to create it themselves. So there are other things like sleep more, no more porn, stop playing Xbox at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Then they just kind of come back.
Yeah.
But everybody beyond that, like all full-fledged adults that have put themselves in the ringer enough to lose their sex hormones, like a 40-year-old that just drives themselves really hard, going on TRT for the purpose of landing in that 20 to 30 range of free T is the target for all men.
How does it equate to total?
It doesn't necessarily. So, well, there's some correlation.
Yeah.
Total would be maybe 750 to 1200 to land there. Yeah. So it's a broad range, but the real target is your free T. And there are
20
lots of lifestyle implications there that affect how much, what the ratio is of total T to free T.
Yeah.
And they tend to be some of the things I just rattled off, like, are you looking at porn all night long? Are you sleeping well? Are you exercising? Are you eating poorly? All of those things will translate to your actual experience of your body utilizing the testosterone. And women, it's different. It's very different. It's really just feedback, like how you feeling. And they have a better way in which to experience the difference because they just experience the difference. Like they crumble quickly and they bounce around for a few years, whereas we don't have that connection to where we used to feel. We've forgotten it. It's been too long.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But again, it's mostly in the brain. So the early experience is you feel enthusiastic. You are optimistic. Maybe you're funnier. You just have more energy. It's kind of like your younger self dropped into the same body that you currently have without losing the wisdom and the experience that you have. It's better, in my opinion, than when I was in my mid-20s. Yeah. It's better because I was an idiot then. Like my prefrontal cortex was like a year into being fully developed.
Yeah, it's not even fully developed yet.
No, technically not. I mean, it varies a little bit, but I mean, I was, getting in car accidents and getting speeding tickets back then, which, interesting sidebar, I did some research around this because young men do not behave like we behaved when we were young. Yeah. And I'm really curious about the health-related implications of that. And apparently, young men get young women pregnant 30% less, and they have 30% fewer speeding tickets.
So young men today, this is when we were young men.
Yes. And let me...
How is that? Why are they...
Let me explain. This is what we see. If you brought your son in, I don't know if you have a son, but if you brought a son in, and he's, let's say, 22, and neither of you he's not on anything related to boosting his testosterone levels, just living a normal life as a 22-year-old, and you're not doing anything either, you will likely have higher testosterone levels than him. That's what we see over and over and over again. And so I understand why there's all sorts of lifestyle implications and things like plastics and their testing stuff. Like you and I have too, but we're fully developed. Yeah. But they don't behave the same way. They don't have the same drive. They're worried about burnout. They have this way of thinking.
And they're not drinking alcohol.
They're not drinking alcohol. That's a good thing. Yeah. But everything else is not. Yeah. They're afraid in general. And so I know what it's like to have really, really low testosterone because we did a little experiment on me, helped me off of TRT, and I went down to a free T of like less than 1, like a 90-year-old. Yeah. And that is very similar to the way many young men behave. Yeah. They just they don't date as much. And of course, if they're not pursuing a girlfriend or whatever, or several,
one leads things to another. So
then there are no teenage pregnancies or less. And they're not doing stupid things with their car, speeding. Yeah. Those are all like young, no prefrontal cortex or not undeveloped prefrontal cortex and well-developed hormones. Yeah. That combination isn't existing enough any longer. It's very scary, actually.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Peptides.
Peptides.
Yes? No?
Yes, I mean, peptides were first introduced in the 1920s. Insulin is a peptide.
Yeah.
Peptides have been useful and effective for many, many years.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to continue to be.
Growth hormone ones, the
GPC 157.
Yep, that one.
Yeah.
You like that?
There's bunches of them. I think they're all appropriate for different times and different situations.
Okay.
Our clinicians prescribe them when they're appropriate. They're very specific in terms of the desired outcome. We would never just like have someone walk in and say, I'd like some peptide, and say, well, here's 6 of them. Go ahead and give them.
Is it blood test driven?
Yeah.
Or is it more than that?
Yeah. It's generally blood test driven or orthopedic issue or injury driven.
Yeah.
Like if somebody has an injury, boosting their testosterone, let's say you rupture your Achilles, a massive injury.
Yeah.
We would make sure your testosterone levels were even higher than normal. We would put you on BPC 157.
Yeah.
And do a bunch of things with your food to make sure your inflammation is as low as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
You increase your sleep.
Yeah.
And make sure your gut health is really rocking. Do things like that. So it would be things like probiotics and prebiotics.
Right. Yeah. No, we're so aligned. Food. I know food quality is really important for you because that's what you talk about naked on Instagram all the time. Are you still like old school 5-6 meals a day, or are you?
No, I've never actually been that way. I've just done what our clinicians tell me to do.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just a personal preference. I don't think 6 meals versus 3 meals matters, or even 2, though it's difficult to consume enough protein on just 2 meals.
In 2 meals,
Like when people do intermittent fasting, almost always they're not eating enough protein. It's just hard.
Yeah.
Like if I were to intermittent fast, I'd have to eat 80 grams of protein for 2 meals.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. Like it would have to be venison, where there's just no fat. It's super concentrated, high quality, high protein.
Yeah.
And you can't eat that every day, all day long. So having enough meals to where you're comfortable eating enough protein is the kind of the sweet spot.
Yeah.
The frequency we found to be just a distraction.
Okay.
Honestly, it's just a distraction.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you plan out your daily food intake, or you just you're hungry?
I generally just have breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay.
If I need to snack, I do. I don't pay a lot of attention, but I record everything. And this is just, you find this interesting. Having a sense of the amount that you're consuming is a good idea.
Yeah.
Tracking your protein with an app and a food scale is a good idea. Doing it forever is very hard to do. But what I do, and we're starting to get some of our students to do, which is our term for patients and clients, is utilizing their assistants, because they almost all have assistants, for that tracking process. So like when I have a meal, like the breakfast video, my assistant grabbed it from Instagram.
Yeah.
When I have lunch, if I don't record it, I rattle off the macros into I dictate a text message, and then she enters it.
And then this style or something more?
We use Fat Secret. We've also used My Fitness Pal, which is great.
Yeah.
So she enters it there, and then the medical team at Stark has access to it. And I generally don't even know unless I ask her for summaries.
Yeah.
Which I do somewhat infrequently. But my medical team sees it, and they're like, you put on 0.5% body fat and you lost a little bit of muscle. We use DEXA scans to measure that.
Okay.
And so we want to have you eat a little bit more, and they start paying closer attention.
What's your average daily intake in protein grams?
Right now, it's about 220, which is very high grams of protein.
Okay.
And my macros, or my total caloric intake, is about 1900, which is rare.
That seems low for you.
Very, very low.
Okay.
Yeah. But I have the Stark Naked photo shoot tomorrow.
Got it.
Yeah. So I'm at the tail end of it. It'll go back up to like 2,500, which is sort of a maintenance level for me.
And then protein grams at 2,500.
It's about 220.
Oh, so it stays at 220.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's reasonably low fat, very low carbs right now. But it's only I only do this for like a week. Yeah. And this will be interesting for your listeners, I think. And I believe that everybody should be doing this and have some sort of mechanism to do this. Be really lean throughout the summer. It's when we're most active and easier to accomplish. Yeah. And then when September hits, going all the way through the holidays until January, just pack on as much muscle as you possibly can without getting too chubby. Yeah. And then when mid-January hits, slowly chip away at that lean or that fat tissue while trying to maintain your lean muscle. Yeah. And then by the time summer hits again, you're right in that same spot. So I just go through that cycle every year. Yeah. The Stark Naked competition keeps me accountable to it because we have the entire community kind of moving in that direction. But it enables me to, every single year that goes by, this is only body composition. We course correct a whole bunch of other things as well. But with body composition, putting on just a little bit of lean muscle every year, like a half a pound, and that compounds over decades. And continue to remain very, very lean. But you can't really put muscle on, which is sort of like the longevity organ. You can't do that without overeating a little bit.
So I am going to come see you. I think we're still aligned, and there's some goals that I want to accomplish. But would you say, with that said, so I'm hovering in the 300 to 350 grams of protein. Okay. Overdoing it?
That's a massive amount. I don't know that we have anybody on that type of plan. I would say that it depends on what you want to accomplish. If
everybody wants lean and more muscle.
That's what you want. So you want to put more muscle on and get leaner. If you want to put more muscle on, you can't eat like that. Protein is incredibly inefficient. And so what I mean by that, if you eat 1,000 calories of protein, you're going to use 300 of them just to assimilate it. It takes a lot of energy to assimilate protein. That's why when I start out the year in January, my protein intake goes up and the rest of my macros come down a little bit. Because I start burning fat from the protein. Does that make sense?
Yes. So I just got stuck on that because if I'm going to default, I want to default to lean. So it's always been higher protein. Another problem I have is I just, everything in my life is the same. I do everything the same every day.
So if you want to put muscle on, though, this is the other part of the equation, which is it's the longevity organ. So you want to continually try to develop it. You can't be in a phase where you're overeating protein and losing fat and putting muscle on at the same time. It's almost impossible to do that. So that's why I go through these seasons where I try to put muscle on. And so in the fall, if you track my recommendation for a lifestyle for men and women, and you're facing like holiday dinners and things like that, like don't stress about it, but you should cut protein down. You don't need as much protein in the presence of trying to put muscle on. You don't. You need more energy.
More
you need carbs. Carbs enable you to be hydrated. That's why it's called carbohydrates. It's effective in helping you have the energy necessary to actually build a muscle. But you don't need that much protein to develop muscle. Protein is helpful to lose fat because it's inefficient.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So it depends on what time of year.
It kind of ruined the last 20 years of my life. Hey, a couple minutes left. Red light and hyperbaric chamber.
I love HBOTs. I think they're super powerful, not just for things like brain injuries and other maladies, but it's helpful for optimization as well, for sure. If people have issues with things like HRV, or sleep quality in general, or recovery in general, you'll see improvements just by using an HBOT. So I'm a big fan of that. And there's no downside that I know of that that's associated with it. Was just kind of rare. And then the other was red light therapy. Red light therapy is also exceptional. You can use it for recovering from strokes, which is I have major heart issues. So that's beneficial to me. You can use it to regrow hair. You can use it for your skin. I mean, it's really quite exceptional. There's a lot of research around it. But I think that's a really beneficial therapy for sure.
Cool. Man, we covered a lot, didn't we? All right. If we met a year from now, what are we going to be celebrating?
What are we going to be celebrating? Well, absolutely. And this may not resonate with you, but it's very, very difficult to accomplish. We're going to be celebrating the improvement and the size of my glutes, which I believe to be the longevity muscle group. Your glutes. Not only do they indicate youth, but they actually inform youth. Like it helps your orthopedic health. And so if you're not working on developing your glutes, which has been an 8-year project for me, watch me on the way out. I mean, they're not quite where they need to be. But they're very, very hard to develop, especially for a middle-aged white man like me. But it's a pursuit that I think is necessary if you want to live a long, healthy life.
I mean, I saw you come in. I think it's pretty obvious that you've been training your glutes.
Oh, thank you. I mean, but for 8 years, I mean, really, that's a long time.
It's like my calves.
Yes, they're kind of like your calves. But calves are more just like, you don't need to train your calves, actually. But your glutes are critical. Everything up the biomechanical chain, which is everything down, like your knees, your hips, your ankles, they're all informed to a certain degree by how well your glutes work. And if they don't work well, you can't grow them. And that's a very
So when I come in, let's put glutes on my.
they should be on yours and everyone else's simultaneously.
All right, last question. If you could put a message on a billboard, what would it be?
Outside of grow your glutes,
Yeah.
don't think you have bad genes. I just think that is the greatest cop out. Doesn't
here's another
one.
one. Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. From doctors to patients to everyone thinks that there's some genetic component of whether or not they can be successful in terms of optimizing their health.
Yeah.
And there is some, but it's not nearly the impact that they get. It's inconvenient to know that you're in charge.
Yeah.
And you actually are in charge.
Yeah.
Dude, just like finances.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this bad thing happened to me. I lost everything. I can't,
Yeah.
when in fact people can accomplish anything if they really put their minds to it.
Of course. Yeah. Todd, this is great. Greater than I thought.
Good to hang out with you.
Yeah. Likewise.
Good to see you. Well dressed as always.
Oh, thank you.
I love your office.
Oh,
Thanks for having me here.
Appreciate that. And I'm going to reach out.
Good luck.
I'll see to that. How can people reach you? How can people connect with Stark?
They can find my business at stark.health. We're in West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, and we're also in 2 locations in Orange County. And they can certainly find me on Instagram at testosterone. With 2 Ds. Right, with 2 Ds.
Thanks again. Thanks everyone who has tuned in. Look forward to being back in the studio next week. Cheers.
Tune in next week for the latest edition of the Zandbergen Report, Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Catch up on our recent shows by visiting podcast.bartzandbergen.com. The Zandbergen Report is also available on iTunes, iHeartRadio and Spotify. Interested in being a featured guest on our show or have a question you'd like to hear us answer? Email podcast@bartzandbergen.com. The contents of this podcast episode do not constitute an offer of securities or a solicitation of an offer to buy securities and may not be relied upon in making an investment decision related to any investment offering Access Wealth Management LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Access does not warrant the accuracy or completeness of the information contained herein. Opinions are our current opinions and are subject to change without notice. Prices, quotes, rates are subject to change without notice. Generally, investments are not FDIC insured, not bank guaranteed, and may lose value.